All right, hello, fight fans, and welcome to the very first episode of Before the Ball Man Speaks. I'm your host, as always, Andrew Lawrence. Today, I have three wonderful guests from around the MMA blog sphere. We are being joined by Nick Baldwin from MMA Junior. He'll be our first guest, followed by Brad Teschuk from MMA Analysis, and also Daniel Levy. He's going to join us from the Best Fight Picks on Twitter. We'll catch up with those guys and see how everyone did on picks and bets tonight. Tonight was a miserable night for me and a miserable night for whoever's getting arrested out in New York City. Broadcasting you live from Brooklyn, New York, ladies and gentlemen, where people are getting arrested on the regular. Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson, the legend comes through. Not in the most legendary performance of all time, but definitely one that'll make the highlight reel. Tim Boetsch wades in there with some looping right and lefts and just leaves his big chin open for that right hand. Dan follows the right hand up with a big knee and just blasts him into the next day. Poor Tim Boetsch, really a bad situation for it. He really did not live up to the hype. He was favored in this fight as high as near 200 at some point, 170. I bet him heavily at 170. Blew away some units on that. Just a really big cap off to the end of the night. A night that was full of finishes from start to finish. I think we nearly had 7 KOs the whole time. We had maybe 3 submissions. I can only remember a handful of submissions, and they all came in the undercard. We are looking over the fights. Big Ben Rothwell, where did that come from with the submission finish? The one fight you would think we were going to have a KO finish tonight in the co-main event. We ended up with a massive submission after a really odd takedown attempt from Matt Mitrione. You don't see Matt Mitrione going for many takedown attempts. I think, actually, statistically, it was his first ever, and I guess we kind of saw why. Yeah, definitely. Before that, Brian Ortega. Oh, one of the best comeback fights I've ever seen. Really dominating third round after getting kind of bullied in the first and second. Interesting part about Brian Ortega's game, he was not scared to be on his back. I think both John Anik and Brian Stann made it very clear that he was okay going in. Solely, trying to throw submissions up from his back. But in that third round, he really just turned on the Nick Diaz. He kind of actually looks like Nick Diaz a little bit in the face, maybe just a little shorter hair. But he was devastating in that third round when he decided to start pouring it on. Just a fantastic finish. The elbows from the bottom, though, didn't help. I saw a lot of people score that second and third round for Brian because of all the damage he was doing from the bottom position. Oh, you know what I missed out? I totally forgot to discuss Yancy Medeiros against Dustin Poirier. Oh, my goodness. Dustin Poirier starches him. Yancy Medeiros looks good. Looks like he's in there to swing some definite leather. Unfortunately for him, that did not work out well, as he just got poured all over by Dustin Poirier. We're trying to loop in right now Nick Baldwin, see if he is available and bring on. You might know Nick from MMAjunior.co, probably the best built website by a 15-year-old, maybe the best built website in MMA period from anyone, and definitely not someone who is being supported by one of these big major news companies as well. So he has a fantastic website. We're going to ring him up, and he'll be in here any minute to get his reactions. Some other action, like I said, there was tons and tons of finishes tonight. Boetsch starches Joe Soto. Oh my goodness gracious, where did this come from? Another underdog finish tonight. The underdogs were just going crazy. It was a fantastic night for anyone who put money down on dogs. Me, unfortunately, with too much money on that chalk, got a little beat up. Just really bulldogged him. Boetsch did Joe Soto in the earlier part of the card. Joe Soto seemed to be riding that hype from his 5-round war with TJ. I think he got too much credit for that. I think we're kind of seeing what people can do when they actually train for skills, and just Boetsch just looks like one of these dudes who's going to contend at 35. Looked really athletic, looked really big, probably has a nice weight cut. Really starched him with his hands, just looked super good. Before that, oh yeah, bull by the horns, that's hilarious. Hey! And there's Nick right now. How you doing, Nick?
Hey man, how's it going? Doing pretty good.
Good. Crazy night of fights.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, everything seemed to be a finish, and it just seemed to just like keep coming and keep going. The more I thought, like, oh, that's the moment of the night, there was something else that happened, and it was amazing. Why don't you talk us through what you thought about the main event? I mean, there wasn't really much to see, but...
Well, it lasted 28 seconds, I believe, and it was really just amazing to see Dan Henderson get back into the winning column, and like... There's no way else to describe it other than amazing, really, because Dan Henderson is the type of guy, he's 44 years old, and he's still winning inside the octagon. That's just unbelievable, really. There's not too much to talk about. It was a quick fight. He landed a couple hard punches, then that uppercut, and just put Boetsch away.
I mean, the only thing I really want to ask after a fight like that is, what fights are you interested in seeing Dan Henderson have right now? He just starched a guy who you think he would have struggles with. I mean, he was installed as like a -200 favorite, but it seemed like, the aggressive style of striking of Boetsch and how he just waited in there looping punches was perfect for, the heavy hands of Hendo. And while Hendo might not be able to take a shot, he can give them still. So who do you want to see him fight? Like, who's left at 185 pounds? I hope no one at 205 pounds, but who at 185 would you watch Dan Hendo fight?
I really don't know, because he's at a point in his career where I really think the UFC is just going to give him big name fights, and possibly winnable fights, but they're not going to give him like guys like Robert Whittaker, and I would watch that fight. That would be a heck of a fight.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
I do think Whittaker would probably stop Henderson, and same thing with Vitor Belfort and Uriah Faber, in my opinion. I think the UFC wants to give them all big name fights that'll draw fans, rather than fights that make a bit more sense. Like, personally, for Uriah Faber, I would do the trilogy with Dominic Cruz. But for Henderson, I don't really know. Like, maybe even a fight with Tim Kennedy. Like, there's not too many options really right now at 185.
I love Dan Henderson against Vitor Belfort.
Yeah, I'd watch that rematch easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we saw it kind of when they had, let's say different bodies for the sake of not getting into a steroid discussion, and we can kind of see who's gonna stay in the money fight contention. Dan Henderson says he's got 3 fights left in him, and he wants to complete those 3 fights on his contract. Do you think he finishes 3 fights more in the UFC?
I think he does, but should he? No. Personally, I think he should retire and retire off of a win. But he's so motivated to get back into the top 10, possibly even top 5. There's no way he's retiring, but should he? Definitely.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I wouldn't mind him riding off in the sunset with him with this win. I think, at the price, the check that he clears for Fight Night, and with that win bonus too, it's just too much money for him to turn down. 3 fights left on his contract. You're probably talking about $1 million, $1.5 million left on the table, and I don't see him leaving that on the table.
Sure.
Yeah, let's talk about the co-main event and Matt Mitrione, or more importantly, Matt Mitrione's failed takedown and Ben Rothwell with a go-go choke. What was that?
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that at all. Personally, I picked Mitrione via first-round knockout, but my luck, I went 6-6 in predictions tonight, so you just know my luck.
Oh, you murdered me. I think I went 3-9 in maybe the most embarrassing night of picking fights in the history.
Other than that a Brazil card from earlier this year with the Mir Bigfoot upset,
Oh God.
that was bad. That was bad.
I mean, I was really not impressed with Ben. I mean, the choke and everything, and the way it finished, that was exciting and got my, and got my blood running. But
Sure.
he was getting picked apart, and I think that this is more of a fight where you saw Matt try to do things way outside of his comfort zone, and he got off the mat and just told himself stupid. And I think that that's the story of this fight.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think? Like, I don't know what's next for Ben Rothwell because he is like in that position where at heavyweight he could be fighting for a title with like one or two more wins.
Oh no, God, please. All
Do I
the
think
lords
he'll?
of MMA, please do not make that happen.
Sure, sure. But do I think he'll be fighting for a UFC title? No way. But is he close? Kind of like a win over
Here's a funner
Mitrione,
game to play.
Overeem.
Here's a funner game to play. Pick the two fighters he beats to get the. Because I agree with you. Like heavyweight's then 2-3 more wins for him. Two probably, and he could be maybe squeaking in a title. What two fighters could he logically fight and then get a title shot? You said one, Alistair Overeem. I think that's the first stepping stone for Ben Rothwell.
Well,
He already
fought,
knocked him
but
out. Yeah. So, well, actually, Matt Mitrione, Alistair Overeem might be a good matchup right now.
no, I want Overeem versus Dos Santos.
I really think Dos Santos wipes the floor with them. But back to Ben. Who could he fight then? Two fighters that could get him into contention. I mean, I feel like if he fights Stipe, he loses.
Well, he loses his next fight if, like, of course, assuming he gets a step up in competition, he's gonna lose because Miocic he'll lose to, Arlovsky he'll lose to, Dos Santos he'll lose to, really anyone at that next step up he loses to, in my opinion.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. He's in that lower mid tier of the top 10 of heavyweights that'll all just kind of smoke him. What about Hunt? You think he beats Hunt? You think that's a fight?
I don't know. That would be interesting because I would almost pick Ben Rothwell in that fight.
Ooh, really? Oh man, that's interesting.
I don't know though.
Yeah, right. I'm not.
Mark Hunt, I want to see him fight Travis Brown on the Melbourne card.
That's a good little matchup. I don't know. Mark Hunt, the years might have finally caught up with him.
I think so. He should retire, but
we're just sending a lot of people away to retirement today, Nick. Diamond Dustin. What do you say about that? He's in his hometown, starches Yancy Medeiros.
it was a great performance, and I think he definitely needs a top 15, if not a top 10 opponent next. I think he's at the level at lightweight to be a top 10 fighter, if not higher up. He was a top 5 fighter at featherweight, and he is just better at lightweight. So what I want to see is the Dustin Poirier versus Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza is fighting Miles Jury just this July, I believe, at UFC on Fox 16. And if Barboza is successful in that fight, I would like to see Poirier versus Barboza.
Yeah, that could be a very nice fight. I think what's great about the jump up is the UFC kind of did Diamond a real solid with the matchups he got. He got to fight some, not like the elite of 155. 155's got so many layers of like steps up in competition that you can make, and they really are bringing him like slowly to the next tier and slowly to the next tier, so they can build his hype and give him a showcase fight. I really think Dustin has a ceiling. He had a ceiling at 45, and it seemed to be around number 5, number 6, number 4 maybe was his top, but like that top elite level, I don't think he cracks it, and I don't think he cracks it in 55 either. Will he be exciting in the meantime? Sure. I think there's great things that he could do and some awesome matchups. All right, let's think about the card as a whole a little bit here and get your opinion on it as a whole. Nick, if you had to give a letter grade to the main card, what do you give the main card as a letter grade? A plus, right? I don't know how you can watch this card and not love it. This is what you watch MMA for.
Again?
I said this is what you watch MMA for. I don't know
Oh
how you
yeah,
can
for
watch
sure,
the
for
main
sure.
card and not really, enjoy it.
It was just an amazing card overall. All 6 main card fights were finished by either TKO or submission, and the prelims were pretty good too. Like, of course, Chris Wade versus Christos Gagos wasn't great, but then you have Joe Proctor opening up the main card, opening up the prelim card, and pulling off the submission win at 4:58 of the 3rd round. That was amazing. And then you have Akhmedov pulling off that injury TKO. And then Jordan Lewis with that kick, the second time a hook kick led up to a heavyweight finish in UFC history. The first time was Junior Dos Santos versus Mark Hunt.
That kick might have been my favorite moment of the entire night. I went a little I got a little too excited when I saw fat Jordan land that hook kick. That was some serious agility from some guy who's built like a tree stump. It was just unreal. It was a right leg heel kick and it's his lead leg, and he did this little step forward with his back leg to kind of fake it in there, and oh god, Derek Lewis kind of just looked like a mess a little bit in that fight, just really outclassed. He can only really beat guys by bullying them and being like the more physical guy. Overall grade for the entire card, what do you give it?
Has to be either an A or an A plus. Like, obviously the main card was amazing. The prelims were pretty good, and you can't go anything below an A for sure.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'm A plus in this card all the way. I didn't even mind really the Fight Pass prelims. There was 2 fights,
Exactly.
a quick submission by one of these tough Latin guys who I don't really follow.
And then
And
Abreu versus Collier was also a very fun fight.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Fantastic fight. We had a string of really good, solid, competitive fights, and then we had a string of just knockout finishes, and it was a great night for the UFC and a great night to watch MMA.
Yeah, definitely. It was amazing.
All right, what are your big takeaways? What was your favorite moment of the night?
Favorite moment had to be the Hendo, the H-bomb. I just wanted to see that H-bomb so badly. I'm not supposed to be favoring fighters, but how can you not want to see Dan Henderson get back into the win column and in that fashion?
Yeah, I'm with you, and that was a great moment. But I'm gonna say that my favorite moment of the night is probably Ben Rothwell's failed promo. I'm just a stickler for. I usually don't like the WWF angle and fake stuff, but when it blows up in your face and John Anik still makes you do the interview after you fail your evil maniacal laugh, that's just too good for me.
Yeah, that was pretty great. But with Dan Henderson, personally, I don't think he'll ever get up to the level, top 10 level. But like I said, you got to give him big fights from now on. He's 44 years old. He has a couple fights left, maybe, and but he's never going to be at that top level. You can't get back onto that Hendo bandwagon. You can't say, oh yeah, he's going to fight Chris Weidman and knock him out, because no, he's not going to, and he's not going to be the top 5 fighter either.
Oh, we'll have someone on later who will tell us just exactly that he can knock out Chris Weidman.
Yeah. I'd like to see that, but
so everyone could look forward to that nonsense in a few. All right, man. Once again, everyone, Nick, runs the site MMAjunior.co, probably one of the best websites for MMA. A very impressive, very clean-looking website, and that won't bog you down with so many pop-ups like some others. And you're really on time with the news. I think what you're doing over there at your website's fantastic and great. Anything that you want to leave us with? Plug anything? I know you got your podcast and some other things. And any final thoughts for the day?
Just check me out on Twitter at NickUFC. If, like you said, visit my website, mmajr.co. And I also have a podcast, MMA Junior Radio. You can find that at mmajuniorradio.com. I just did an interview with UFC flyweight Willie Gates today, and so that'll be on a Wednesday's episode 11. So tune in for that. And I also have an announcement to make regarding my website, and I'll be making that on next week's episode of my podcast.
All right, brother. Sounds good. We
Thanks
all
for
look forward
having me
to it.
on.
Oh no, thank you for coming on, and you're always welcome here, and we'll have you on again soon. All right, man.
I appreciate that.
All right, take it easy, Nick.
See you,
No
man.
doubt, man. All right, like I said, that was Nick from MMAJR.co. Really cool guy, really accomplished, especially for his age, creating his website. Our next guest, and I'm looking down right now because I'm bringing him up. And no, is going to be Brad from the MMA Analysis Podcast, and he'll call in any minute now. It was interesting insight from Nick. We look forward to hearing the information about his website. Hopefully one day he'll sell out to the man and make $1 billion. But yeah, he said the favorite takeaway of the fight is, Dan Henderson. Yeah, I don't see how you can't, really. I mean, I was kind of goofing around saying Ben Rothwell. Hey, what's happening, Brad?
Not too much. How you doing?
Doing real good, man. Doing real good. I was just caught up with Nick, and obviously, the spirit is in the air. Pride never dies, and Dan. Yeah.
Pride never dies. WEC never dies. It was a night. It was a night to be had. Oh man.
All right. So, what did you think about the main event? Let's just get that through and over with.
Oh, jeez. It's Dan Henderson. If you've been watching this sport for any period of time, you had to want that to happen. I know there's. Go ahead.
I have a stupid shitty.
There's these white knights out on Twitter that are like, oh, you should cheer for Hendo to lose because then he won't fight again. And I'm just, no, you want the guy to win. You've been watching, exactly, you've been watching him forever, knocking people out, going from like Decision Dan to Dangerous Dan to Hollywood Dan to Hollywood Hendo Dan, Decision Dangerous Henderson, whatever. And
I tell you what, I have a boyish grin on my face since that right hand landed. The first one I knew it was done. I was like, well, just when Timmy was wading in there with these punches, I was like, that's not how you do it, man. That's not the game plan, right?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was weird though, man. You looked at Tim Boetsch coming out in the cage, in the stare down, everything like that. He looked uncomfortable, and that was something that I heard some people say, and it's something that when you see guys fight these legends, occasionally it seems like they don't want to hurt guys they look up to. And there's some guys that can go out there and can do it and can be the killer that they need to be, and there's some guys who just can't pull the trigger when they get out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that has so much to do with the not wanting to knock off your legend thing, but he had this look at the weigh-ins, and I bet Tim Boetsch, like an idiot. But yeah, but Dan had this look of, Dan's always quiet confidence, but like it seemed like he knew he had something on him, and Tim in his pre-fight interviews was talking about relying on being able to take more damage than Dan Henderson, and I was like, ugh, those aren't the things I want to hear when I want to watch someone beat up Dan Henderson. It's like, pick him apart technically. Now I'm with you, but I'm going to wade in there and get into a war with Dan and show him that I have a better chin. I'm like, ooh, shit, this could go badly.
Yeah, it's just, not ever a good idea. And, people talk about how Dan Henderson's chin is shot. Yeah, he got head kicked about 17 times by Vitor Belfort. Didn't even actually get knocked out in that fight. And then there was Gegard Mousasi, who, is one of the, as for what you might think of Mousasi and how he doesn't like to go out there and fight to his full potential, he's a very, very accurate, talented striker. He's beaten up a lot of good guys in K1. Once he hurts you and he jumps on you, he's not going to miss with those coffin nail punches. So Gegard Mousasi, put him away. Not a whole lot of shame in that. That's a guy who fought at middleweight, or fought at light heavyweight, fought at heavyweight, fought kickboxing at heavyweight, had success at all of those places. So, dropping back down to middleweight, you saw him survive even last year. People think it was forever ago, but that Shogun fight, the second one, Shogun's one of the hardest hitters to ever fight in MMA at any weight class, and he managed to survive that. So I wasn't on board the train that his chin was completely shot, and it didn't even matter in this fight because it never got to that point.
Yeah, I wish you had told me that before I had laid cash out. I guess what the big takeaway for us is that Tim Boetsch is not equal to Gegard Mousasi, shockingly.
Yeah. There you go.
The card as a whole, man. What did you think about it? How do you grade it on A to F?
The card as a whole, top to bottom, I'd say it's probably like an A minus maybe, and that's only because there wasn't a ton of relevant fights on it. So yeah, there was fun. I'm at that stage of watching MMA where I've been watching the sport for over a decade now, where the fights being fun is just as important as fights being relevant, but the best case scenario is that fights are relevant and fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's always like those rare moments where it comes together where like championship high level, talent meets, super awesome fun fights like a Chad Mendes versus Jose Aldo. One of those,
exactly.
Main event moments that are just, that make the sport like as important as it is. But tonight, uneventful Saturday, Fox Sports 1. It's an A card for me. Just really fantastic with all the finishes that happens, with the silliness of Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell for me tonight, and I know people are gonna hate on me on Twitter for it, but that's my moment of the night. You get an evil maniacal laugh, and then John Anik, like a fucking bastard, makes you continue the interview.
Rothwell was so uncomfortable as that character. He didn't pull off the promo. The promo failed horribly, and then he stuck around.
That's the best part.
Just go. What are you thinking? What good is going to come from sticking around and then having to answer a question like you didn't just do the stupidest promo in UFC history?
If he had left, I would have had a lot more respect for the promo. Or even better, maybe turn around, give Anik like the evil Undertaker eye. That would have had some legs. I think that this was planned a little bit too, because his walkout music was super bizarre. I'm not sure if that was on Fox Sports 1, but if you caught a little bit of Ben Rothwell's walkout music, it had like a Darth Vader-esque vibe to it. So this might have been something that he thought out, that he literally thought, I'm going to win this fight, was so confident in it, and was like, I got this character idea, guys.
I'm going to win this fight with this awkward sideways guillotine that's not actually a guillotine, and Matt Mitrione's going to tap maniacally with both hands the second I slap it on.
Oh, that fight just abounded in weirdness. Matt Mitrione shoots his first takedown ever, and instantly we realize why he's never shot for a takedown before.
Heavyweight MMA, man. Heavyweight MMA.
Just the best. There's
hey, speaking of heavyweight MMA, Sean Jordan hook kicks. Boom.
That's another laughable moment of the night. I'll tell you what, man. That really, when it happened, shocked me. I was like, I was not expecting that level of technique out of Sean Jordan. I don't know. I've always just discounted the guy, maybe because he's a little short for the heavyweight division. He's that squat, fat dude. But that was unbelievable.
Keeps getting fatter and fatter. I think he's like up 20 pounds from when he came into the UFC.
Oh no, yeah. He's not one of these guys, building out his physique. He's got serious dad bod. But god damn it, was that some athleticism? I was unreal. Poor Derek Lewis probably shouldn't professionally fight.
Oh, Derek Lewis is bad. He's good against guys that he's just stronger than and can get on top of and then can punch you because he punches really hard, but he can't really direct the punches anywhere that he wants them to go. They just sort of happen.
Yeah, right. It's all kind of just, can I bully this guy, or is how quickly can I quit when I'm not able to bully this guy?
Yeah.
Anything else from the card strike you? Joe Soto got his ass whooped.
There were a couple face down guys just completely unconscious. I think my favorite was Joe Proctor's guillotine on Justin Edwards, just sleeping hard, face down.
Is that fight of the night for you?
No, Tavares Ortega. definitely.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that was kind of a legendary come from behind. Stan mentioned something about that being like Diaz-esque, and as soon as he said it, I noticed how much he kind of looks like Nick Diaz with just like a little bit more hair.
Yeah, he does have that, like Nick Diaz. Well, there was those couple fights where Nick Diaz grew his hair out a little bit and he had that real greaser look, and Ortega looked exactly like that.
Like an extra in The Outsiders.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
definitely, and he seemed to have the grimace too. You know that like Stockton, you can't even you like scrunch your face in the right way and just like hate the world the proper amount, and you get that look permanently stuck. But
yes.
I think clearly if he didn't get that finish, that fight should have gone to a draw. Who fucking knows MMA judging? It could have just been a nightmare on the scorecards. Some people would have scored at the second round, maybe for him too, with those elbows. You know.
I try and not score like visual damage because it's such an unpredictable, unreliable thing. You know, you could hit a guy with a tiny little glancing elbow that does nothing. Like the elbows he was landing from his guard were actually hard elbows that were causing cuts. But at the same time, a guy could land an elbow that completely whiffs except for the tip of his elbow and do the exact same damage. So I try not to score that stuff too much. But I thought it was a tight fight. I was surprised. I'm not sure if you do live betting at all, but Ortega was plus 500 after the second round, which was kind of surprising to me.
I actually hit that live bet. I try not to tell when I hit live bets because I had such a disastrous night that it was just like a morsel of the amount that I gave out tonight. It was just the tiniest little piece back to covet, and I was like, yes, my live bet. I thought my night was turning around, and it wasn't. How'd you do tonight?
Pretty good. I started off a lot better than I finished, but the big one for me was I got Francisco Rivera I maxed that out when it first came out and flipped to plus 125. So that was a good bet for me, but ended up plus 2.4 units on the night and the Ortega live bet, but I don't include that shit because that's right. Just
good night, man. Grinding out profit, a lot of places where you could have lost a lot. If you were betting dogs, it was a good night for you mostly. I blew up. I lost like 8.5 units, nearly 9 units.
Ouch. What were you on?
Oh, I was big on Matt.
Yeah.
Matt crushed me. I thought it was just an easy coasting win. Looked like it was good. He was just in and out, popping, using the jab, landing good power shots. Seems like he was stopping Ben, and then stupidity abounds. That was the trick. Don't bet Matt Mitrione thinking, he's going to be intelligent for 15 minutes.
He tried to warn you. His nickname is Meathead.
I can't listen. That's my problem. I can't see the obvious. Yeah. So Matt really killed me, and that was that. And then Boetsch, at the end too. I just got greedy with easy chalk bets, man.
Yeah. I had a little bet on Hendo by decision because, as I was saying earlier, I thought that his chin wasn't gone, so I thought he was going to stick around for a while. But my other half of that bet was not Boetsch in the distance, so that one cashed for me to get a little profit in the main event as well.
Beautiful things. I'm glad. Anything else stand out to you for the fights tonight? I think we covered it all. Bruce Leroy got his ass whooped, and he's probably done in the UFC.
Oh, it was glorious. I love Francisco Rivera. That man hits so hard, and he has such clean boxing technique as well. So it's a fun thing to watch. But I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me in the card is, there's some real must-watch fighters in the UFC moving forward. Like you've got guys like Dustin Poirier, who I don't remember the last time I saw a boring Dustin Poirier fight. You've got Brian Ortega now, who looks like he's just going to have fun fights with whoever he fights. Just a couple of guys like that.
I think Boetsch is someone to look at too.
Yeah, Boetsch could be. You look back at his regional stuff. That fight with Ryan Benoit in MFC was awesome. Obviously, this was a good performance. So hopefully the Entwistle fight was just the aberration for him, and this is more of the Boetsch we'll see moving forward.
All right, man. Sounds good. All right. Anything else you want to mention for the card? It seems like I'm
I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I think we've covered it all. I know that you have, your podcast that you can plug here. MMA Oddsbreaker is a site you work for as well. It's a fantastic source if you're gambling. Fantastic source if you play fantasy MMA too. You can take it.
Yeah, MMAoddsbreaker.com. Obviously, not just myself. I just do some opening odds stuff there and some pieces to get people hyped up for fights. But yeah, go there. There's a lot of good analysis. Obviously, my podcast, well, not my podcast, but the podcast that I'm on, the MMA Analysis, I think it's probably the most enjoyable MMA podcast out there. If you are into that sort of thing, even if you're not into betting, just listen to hear us make fun of fighters' names and stuff like that. It's a good time. So those are the two big things.
All right, yeah, it definitely is. All right, Brad, thank you for coming on, and congratulations on your big night, and we'll look forward to seeing you again sometime, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, take it easy, Brad. All right, that was Brad Tushik from the MMA Analysis Podcast. We are moving on to our final guest of the night. Now, our final guest of the night is going to be hyped, as hyped could be. He had been talking to me about Dan Henderson winning this fight for quite a while. I dismissed it out of hand, as I do most moronic things I hear on Twitter, and it turns out that was not so moronic. A fantastic fight from Dan Hendo Henderson, and Daniel Levy's going to be calling in best fight picks on Twitter. He probably had a good night, I'm imagining. I didn't really follow his back and forth on how his bets exactly did, but if I know him, I know he probably sprinkled a couple bets on that H-bomb landing, and he'll want to rub it in everyone's faces. For me, the whole thing with Dan Hendo is this. I want to see him fight names, and I don't want to see him fight young names. I don't want to see him fight beasts. I want to just see him fight, different, more, aging guys. At the beginning of the show, I said that I didn't want to see him fight at 205. I don't really care at this point. I think that Dan Henderson should just fight anyone who is above the age of 35. That should be the limit to what he is allowed to do. Got a little bit of technical issues happening with Dan coming in, but he should be in any minute. Yeah, Ben Rothwell, does he have any legs in the heavyweight division? I'm going to be the realist and tell you no. Stipe starches him. Probably. Will Arlovsky starch him? That would be a very, very interesting question. Arlovsky. I think Arlovsky might get it done. Big Ben Rothwell. I'd love to see Big Ben just win another fight just so I can watch another one of those promos. That was the genius promo of the year. People could say that he failed in it, that he did this, that it wasn't executed well. Anik had to make him answer questions afterwards. But just having the balls to go out there and go with the evil maniacal laugh, oh, you gotta love it, man. You just absolutely gotta love it. Let's talk about some things that happened in the prelims as Dan figures out how to use a computer. It seemed like there was the opening fight now. Jose Quinones against Leonardo Morales. We need to stop putting tough Latin America guys on any form of UFC broadcast. That was the most uninspired submission victory. I know you can look at it and be like, it was a quick finish, it was very dominant, etc., etc. It was the most boring, quick submission finish I've ever seen. As soon as it finished, it was instantly just like, great. Now we can move on to like some real fighters. In the fight immediately following that, to like counterpoint the level of skill between fighters, Jake Collar and Ricardo Abreu. Now that split decision battle was really, really good. If this had been one of those cards that had stinkers all throughout and we had a completely different card, this would have been something that was a fight of the night contender. It was a real close scrap. I gave rounds 1 and 3 to Abreu. I gave the second to Collier. Collier ended up winning the split decision. It was just one of those real good quality scraps from up-and-comers that you expect. This is the level of fights that we should have to see in all the prelims. I mean, I know when high-level fighters sometimes can cancel each other out and we see stalemates of technique. That's not what we're seeing in the first fight with Tough. And here we are, joined by the man himself, Daniel Levi. How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Hanging in there, man. So your boy Dan Hendo, tell me about it.
Dude, that H-bomb, man. Never.
So how'd you do for the night? How'd the bets work out, man?
They worked out great, dude. We let's see, cashed on Jose Quinones, then Jake Collier. Who else, man? Who else was in there? Christos Giagos. That was our only loss of the night. He lost 1 unit.
Oh, I bet on that too. I thought that he looked good in that fight.
Oh, it's all good, man. Then we had let's see, we had Brian Ortega coming through in the clutch.
Oh, that was a legendary finish. Probably fight of the night, right?
Oh, for sure, fight of the night. And Dustin Poirier cashing the 2-unit play.
Very nice, very nice. So nothing on your boy Dan?
Nah, man, I couldn't do it, bro. I just couldn't do it, dude.
Oh, I really thought that with the legendary Dan Henderson making his climb back to challenge Chris Weidman, that you would have a couple of units wrapped up in him knocking out Timmy Boetsch.
I know. I probably should have put like 10 units on it, man. It's funny. I was. I had an epiphany last night. I was like, he's gonna land the H-bomb. He doesn't lose to guys like Tim Boetsch. He only loses to the best of the best. Daniel Cormier, Umusasi, all these guys. So, yeah.
I should have had you talking me through it when you were having that epiphany. I guess it makes sense because you just watched how Timmy approached, the fight. He just waded right into inside fighting, right into boxing range. The people who are gonna beat Dan Henderson are gonna pick him apart, slowly wear him down until he slows down, so that H-bomb's traveling at a mile an hour, and then you can avoid it easily. Tim Boetsch isn't going to do that. Tim Boetsch used zero strategy, walked in there, looped some punches, left his jaw right there on a shelf, and, what's Dan Henderson going to do? Not knock him out? Of course, that's what Dan Hendo does. It was kind of for me, Tim Boetsch clowning around more than a revival of Dan Henderson.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, is it a knock on Tim Boetsch's fight IQ, or did he underestimate the legend? What happened there, bro?
Underestimate the legend? Nah, just a dummy. Just a dummy. Tim Boetsch, just a dummy.
I think it's a good way to put it.
That's the sorrow of a man who put money on 2 stupid people tonight and lost good.
Oh yeah, it didn't go well for you tonight?
No, a nightmare. I nearly lost 9 units, 8.5. So huge hit, big profit loss. Basically everything I've stacked up for the year. But we'll move on. We'll rally for sure.
There's an event next week.
And the week after.
And the week after.
And then the week after.
And after.
And then the week after that, bro. No.
Yeah, so I mean.
We'll be good. We got some spots.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, Matt Mitrione, in his brilliant takedown art, hurt me as well.
Has he ever taken a jiu-jitsu class in his life, bro? See, I mean, he made some comments before the fight. He was saying shit like, I don't train my submission defense, and I thought he was just kidding, man. I thought he was being sarcastic and
That's just some shit you say, Matt. That's not some shit you actually do.
He took that shit to heart, bro, and he I spoke to his coach. He said he didn't go to any jiu-jitsu class this whole week, bro. So.
It looked like it, man. It's like he wasn't even familiar with tapping. You know, like he did. That's a flail with two arms. Like that's not even how you properly tap when you get submitted, bro.
Dude, I really believe that he didn't train jiu-jitsu. Has he ever trained jiu-jitsu, man? Because
they don't train jiu-jitsu in Purdue.
What was that choke, first of all?
Someone called it a go-go choke, and I know like a go-go plata on the ground is completely different, but I guess like the positioning of your arms is similar to it. But that could just be shit people say on the internet, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It just didn't look like he had anything. It looked like he had like his like fingers, but like he didn't really like he wasn't really under the neck or something. I don't know, man.
He might have just panicked because there was arms near his neck.
It looked kind of fishy, man. I'll tell you that. Like, I don't know, bro.
He took that plus money on Ben Rothwell.
Oh yeah, you know, props to everyone that played that for sure. And you know, it's funny. I got to give credit where credit's due. Valturdo, he was
plus 1,000. I saw it too.
He was saying Rothwell by submission. We were all laughing, and then he goes in there and cashes that plus probably 1,200, 1,300.
I think it was plus 1,000, but it will still never let us hear the end of it. That's a legendary like bet to make, though.
Yeah.
That's something to build a reputation on, you know.
I'll tell you that much.
I think he's selling picks now too. So congratulations to anyone brave enough to tail that asshole.
I love the guy.
Oh, I love him too. The only thing I love more than his betting style is his arguments on Twitter. They're just great.
Oh yeah, he's fun, man.
He's a good time, man. He's a good time. No, seriously though, yeah, at MMA Investments, he's actually helped me learn to. He's been teaching me not to do dumb things like pile a bunch of money on chalk favorites like Matt Mitrione and lose my shirt. So the more you listen to him, probably the better off you'll be.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, this card, man, there were like no favorites past minus 200, minus 215, you know? Just Matt Mitrione and Joe Proctor. And Joe Proctor, he barely came through. He came through with 2 seconds left in the fight.
Yeah, that Joe Proctor fight was something, too. After watching that fight, I thought easy fight of the night, but then, you know, the card just kind of went crazy. You know, I talked to Nick, and Nick agreed, and Brad agreed too. Like it was just A+ fights. We had like a streak of 6 finishes or 8 finishes. 6 of them were KOs. It just got out of control at some point. So you know, too bad. They'll probably get screwed out of $50K a piece. But that was a war, man.
Oh yeah, it was great. You know, I'll tell you what, man. How good did Dustin Poirier look?
Oh, stupid good. You know, Yancy Medeiros, right? He's like one of these scrappy dudes, but like he just wings his arms up, and it leaves so much space for you to like, to sneak punches in. You know, you could throw him straight down the middle, and there's a gap straight down the middle. You could throw a hook and get around to where he throws his hands. And he just doesn't have enough head movement to get back and left and right to roll punches. But yeah, Dustin looked good.
Yeah, I think Dustin was just on another level, man. Because I mean, you saw Yancey's last couple fights, and he was like spinning back, kicking these dudes, and Dustin was like avoiding that shit. He was like circling around him and fucking doing the proper defense, and he was just a step ahead the entire fight, man. I mean, he's looking like a goddamn world champion kickboxer out there.
Yeah, I'd kind of written Diamond off and kind of looked at him as a known commodity, and thought that his fight game had kind of grown stagnant. But he's definitely still evolving, and 55 looks good for him. But I said it earlier in the show. I really still think he's in 45 or 55. He's still one of these guys who's stuck at 6, 5. That 10 to 6 range, depending on what matchup he gets, and if he's coming off that L or not. But he'll always float around that range. He just won't crack that elite level. I don't know why I see that, but except for the fact that every time he fights one of them, he gets demolished.
Yeah, man, we gotta see what he does, because I mean, it could be one of these cases like a Robert Whittaker, where he goes up to 185 and he's knocking dudes out like he wasn't doing at 170. At 170, we saw the glimpses like, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. But now that he's at 185, he's putting dudes out cold and looking dynamic as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the weight cutting thing, you know, some people brush it off, but, you know, when you're talking about guys who do like 35 pounds plus, that's serious body changes you're making, you know, within a 2-week period. You know, and you know that he's able to make that big of a cut, so he's going to continue to make a very large cut for 55. He's just going to pack on an extra 5 pounds of muscle in that weight class. So, you know, and most of the weight you pack on is going to end up going into your shoulders. It's going to go into your core, which is going to, you know, bring your punching speed up, you know, and give you like true results in your power. So maybe he becomes, you know, even more of a lethal finisher. You know, I don't see it. I still feel like when he gets hit, that he goes into like a predictable mode of offense, and when he gets hurt, he just moves his head less, which isn't a huge knock on a fighter. I mean, it's really rare of someone who can get hit a lot and still remain very cognizant of, you know, where they are and you know what habitual you know, punches they're throwing. Most people just go into autopilot, but I still think, you know, the elite of the elite. Like, imagine Diamond Dustin Poirier against you know, Pettis. What do you think about that matchup?
I mean, on paper, you know, it's going to be Anthony Pettis minus 500, but you know what, man? He looked fucking awesome tonight. I mean, I got to give it to him, you know? And you know what would be a sick fight, dude?
Go for it.
Dustin Poirier versus Paul Felder.
Oh, shit. That is a sick fight. Yeah, man. And then if Paul Felder is that fight, the real Paul Felder, you know, he's got to fight Paul Felder's spirit animal, Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Oh man, that's a great fight right there.
No, but those are the fights that I'm saying that poor Diamond doesn't have a shot in. You know, imagine Nurmagomedov, Diamond Dustin Poirier. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a different story. I mean, imagine anyone in that weight class versus Nurmagomedov. You know what I mean?
If Nurmi could just get healthy, man, we'd just see people get ragdolled. What if Nurmi comes back and can't do shit? How disappointing will that be?
Very. I mean, this dude needs to stop training with bears and like just you know, train with dudes your own size, man. You know, maybe you'll avoid the injuries a little bit better that way.
Listen, you can take the Russian out of Russia, man, but you can't, or maybe, how does that phrase go? Yeah, well, anyway, Dagestan's going to Dagestan, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so, you know, you're going to tell a guy not to fight bears. How do you think you get that good at grappling unless you learn from Mother Nature?
True, and I mean, speaking of Dagestan, Omari Akhmedov, he kicked Brian Ebersol in the leg, and Brian Ebersol decided between rounds it was in his best interest not to continue.
Not continue to retire. He had a retiring moment on the stool. No one's mentioned it all night. God, first of all, let me say this. I love Brian Ebersol. Some people want to say his shit's boring, and all. Brian Ebersol is one of the most interesting characters in MMA. Chest arrows for life. This dude is legend. I love Brian Ebersol.
Dude, did you see when he like faked Omari out? Like he fake sprawled and then Omari fucking sprawled.
That's the shit I'm talking about. There's little moments in all of his fights that are bizarre as fuck. He never fought the same style of fighting twice. He always had some weird wrinkle in his game for every single opponent that was like, what is this dude on? You know, he lives in Thailand. He you know, has some weird like gym situation there. 70 fights, just like one of these really, really interesting characters.
Yeah, to say the least, huh?
Yeah, right. You know, not always the most interesting fights, but people forget he had that, like, you know, bizarre win streak. Maybe it was like 5 fights. It was, you know, to get some decent people. There's some weird decisions I think involved in it too. But you know, just more stuff that adds to the legend of a chest hair arrow.
Dude, 70 fights, man. This was his 70th fight, and it's funny because he never got knocked out, but this is going to be the only TKO on his entire record.
I know, isn't that kind of sad? I wish that you know, there should be an asterisk next to that. That dude should go out as never having been, you know, TKO KO finished. Like what a fantastically interesting dude Brian Ebersol is, and I salute him as an MMA fan. It's the last of that kind of breed. There's going to be no other people, that we see just because of how modern MMA is structured, that we see those kind of numbers on a record sheet. Once Melvin Gillard retires, like the days of 50-plus fighters is done.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I think they've all, they fought in the UFC in a different era. It's a new game nowadays, so.
Yeah, there's just not enough regional promotions who will let you fight every weekend. We need to bring that back. Let's get some of these Indian casinos together. Large bracket tournaments to fight every weekend for a month. Get the people four quick fights in a month. Let's see who's the champion of Mohegan Sun. In the month of March in the year 2016. Let's get that going.
Dude, for sure. Did you by chance watch RFA last night? Because they got some prospects on that show, dude. I'll tell you that.
RFA constantly comes out with good prospects. I didn't watch last night. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was having a life, so couldn't make it to RFA. Sorry, guys. You know what? The good thing about RFA is if you're crafty on the interwebs, you can usually find a good fight. And, on Reddit, people are always like, something good happened. Did I miss anything? What was, like, a great fight?
They were all great fights. I mean, there was this dude named Gooch. I'm not even making this up. His name was Ashley Gooch.
Oh, not a nickname.
No, this is his name, bro. And he fights out of the lab. He's a heavyweight, big dude, and he's going against the guy with the same reach as John Jones. So he's going against a guy with like an 84-inch reach, and the Gooch full mounts him and just knocks him out cold, bro.
Man.
He does the Benson Henderson this thing.
Through the Illuminati at him.
Yeah.
The fight was fixed then, bro. Less impressive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta send a diamond out to all of my brethren. Soon we take over the world, my friends. Wow. Yeah. The Gooch. That's right up my alley. I'll be honest with you. As much as like the purist inside of me scoffs and just like laughs at heavyweight technique and just says like this is stupid, there's also the dumb part of my brain that's probably like a lot more active if we're just going to break things down on a percentage basis. So the dumb part of my brain takes over watching a giant man named the Gooch getting full mount and ground and pounding a John Jones, replacement standing. That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, man, you gotta look up those links you were talking about. Go
yeah, maybe I'll post them on Twitter once I find them and then get them shut down. Overall card, we're gonna wrap this show up pretty soon. What did you think, man? What did you think, Dan? Grade the card for us.
I mean, it was awesome, dude. I mean, I enjoy every single card. This one was great too, and it had
grade at 8F.
It had 7 first-round finishes, which tied the record. To answer your question,
the question I didn't ask.
Let's go with a solid B.
A solid B. You're a hater. You know that you're the lowest grade that anyone's given on the show.
All right, fine. Let's go with a solid A.
Nah, it's a B. Your first response you're stuck with.
Okay.
I mean, it was at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans.
I enjoyed it, man. Start to finish, it was fun.
Yeah, an A at the Smoothie Center, is like a B at the MGM,
Yeah, is that the name of the place? Do they give out smoothies there?
Oh, dude, I bet there's definitely some smoothie concessions, but they should definitely throw you a free smoothie with every purchase of a ticket, right?
Yeah, they better.
You should sit down in your seat, and in every single fucking cup holder is a smoothie. That you just like kind of randomly change flavor every other seat. There can be like a barter system, But yeah, you should definitely get it. It's the Smoothie King Center. If you were just going to like the Smoothie Prince Center, you'd understand it's a little bit low rent. But you're the king of smoothies. You can't even toss me a free fucking smoothie. Drop $100 on a ticket or something. Some bullshit.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you know what would have been actually even better? If Dan Henderson, Pride style, like they come out and instead of giving like that, giant trophy that's as tall as Bob Sapp, they give you just a massive smoothie. A Bob Sapp sized smoothie. And after his post-fight speech, he takes a giant sip of it.
I feel you, man.
Excuse me.
I can't follow up with that, man. That makes me going wild, bro.
I've blown your mind with my smoothie advertising ideas, dude.
Yeah, dude. I hear. So Kelvin Gastelum's fighting next week. You think he's gonna weigh in 9 pounds overweight for his new weight class?
Don't be mean to Calvin, man.
That's
a rough one.
I'm betting on him between you and I.
Okay, between you and I and everyone who's listening. And you're going to post it on Twitter in about, 4 minutes. Listen, the only bet I want to make on Calvin Gastelum is, the prop bet on if he makes the scales. And I will bet that he makes weight.
I believe he will, and I believe he's going to put on a show against Nate Marquardt, to say the least.
Nate Marquardt, Jesus fucking Christ. Nate the Great Marquardt is just getting a little overhyped. But that's what happens when you knock out James Tahuna. You get that little bump. Everyone thinks you're special, but apparently knocking out Tahuna don't make you really all that special.
Yeah, I mean, this is how good Kelvin is, man. I'm gonna just say this right now. So, on his worst possible day, he misses weight by 9 pounds. He has the flu. He's hospitalized, and he still goes to a controversial split decision with the number 3 guy in the world. I mean,
how'd you score that fight?
I mean, I had it for Kelvin 29-28, but
I did too, but I had a Kelvin bet.
Yeah, but I mean, like, who cares what I think? The bottom line is this kid's a stud, man, and he's gonna punish Nate Marquardt.
Yeah, I think the kid's got it. You know what I mean? He needs to stay at 170 pounds. He needs to get his fucking shit together, eat proper. It's not like he doesn't have the frame for a 170-pounder. I'm sure the weight cut's hard. I'm not being one of these assholes who's just brushing off a weight cut. I know they're vicious, but he can diet his way into it a little bit better, and and make his life easier, because he can make some legit money as a 170-pound contender rather. Speak Spanish, go down to Mexico, and clear some 6-figure checks, dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, when he had Dolce with him, and then you remember that Brian.
No one's allowed to say the word Mike Dolce on my podcast.
When he had that nutritionist with him, and he fought Brian Melanson, dude, he was shredded, and he goes in there and he finishes the guy. First he drops him, and then he chokes him out. I'm like, all right, you need to keep doing what you're doing. And then he comes in his next fight and like misses weight, and I mean, he's so damn talented that like, he can get away with not taking it too seriously. But if he decides to take it seriously, I mean, this kid could be a champion.
People in Southern California, if you're out to eat, if you're at, like a food cart, in a public park, and you see Kevin Gastelum, you walk up to him and you slap, the burrito out of his hand, you take the ice cream away from him, if he's going in, for a little Belgian waffles, some late night crepes, dead it. I know what the food scene is. You got to shut him down, Maybe buy him a plate of steamed broccoli, some fresh green vegetables, knock down the hunger. You think Kelvin Gastelum's a drinker? Does he strike you as someone who hits the bars?
Oh, he'll definitely go for a gingerly stroll. I think it's like a case like John Jones, man. I mean, I think he's like one of these guys he's super talented, and he can get away with not really working as hard as some of these other guys. You know what I mean? And he's enjoying himself, to say the least.
Yeah, I think that's the case. He's probably making more money now than you ever probably imagined that he would, and it's rolling for him. All right, man. It looks like I'm going to shut it down. We've had a pretty good first episode. Anything you want to say about the card? We didn't cover all the fights like I did with the other guests, but we kind of rolled through it all. Everyone kind of knows people got blown the fuck up in a lot of fights, so ain't too much to debate.
Yeah, man. My only takeaways are Brian Ortega's jiu-jitsu is unreal, and Dustin Poirier looks like an absolute beast at 155. So I can't wait to see what's next for those guys. Thank you, Andrew.
Daniel, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate your time. Take a few seconds and, actually, you don't really have anything to plug. Plug your website, your Twitter account. Can people buy your picks, or are you only going to, give away this wealth for free?
we'll see what happens. I'm enjoying helping everyone out. It's been going really well lately, and you can just check me out at Best Fight Picks on Twitter, bestfightpicks.com. Also, check me out on MMA Thought on Twitter, and I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you having me, Andrew.
All right, thank you, and we'll see you again very soon, Daniel. All right, everybody, this was the very first episode of Before the Bald Man Speaks, and the Bald Man is probably about to speak, or he is speaking right now, so we'll let you go. Takeaways once again for UFC Fight Night 68 from New Orleans, Louisiana, Smoothie King Center, is that Dan Henderson will, in fact, probably fight for the UFC 3 more times. Matt Mitrione is indeed still the meathead. Diamond Dustin Poirier is a force at 155s. Brian Ortega is a beast, and that'll be interesting to watch. Boetsch, forget what Boetsch's first name is. But anyway, he rolled Joe Soto, and maybe Joe Soto will best be known for being that late replacement for TJ, and that might be his career, which is kind of sad. Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy probably had his last fight in the UFC. He's now 0-3 in his last 3 fights. And Francisco Rivera is an animal. It only makes me wish that we had seen that fight with Uriah Faber go for another 2 rounds. Sean Jordan dusted Derek Lewis with the spinning heel hook, I guess you could say, from his lead right leg in the what the fuck category of KOs. Akhmedov retires Brian Ebersol, and we salute Brian Ebersol in his retirement. 70 fights. That's quite enough, good sir. And the rest of the fights. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. And we have to mention New England's Joe Proctor getting it done, taking on the legacy of Joe Lozon. Crazy come from behind. Submission victory late in the 3rd round. Just an absolute great finish there. So great night of fights. I thank you all for stopping by and trying out a new Google broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to all of my guests. Nick Baldwin from MMAJunior.co, Brad Tushik from the MMA Analyst, and Dan Levi from Best Fight Picks on Twitter. I'm Andrew Lawrence. I'm the Clown Kid on Twitter. Give me a follow right there, down below, next to Roided Out Kenny Shamrock. And, hit me up if you like the show, and let me know if we fucked up anything. All right? So I'll see you all again next week. Take it easy. Bye. Peace.